We back. I'm here on Discord, and we are once again looking at Kakera towers. Obviously, I did a video on these when they first were released. Went over what they were and how they worked. Other new stuff that came out in the updates. So if you aren't sure about them, go check out this. But one of the questions that I get asked the most is when to buy them. And it's a very good question. I did say I would have a look after a week or so and figure out when to get them. It's been a bit longer than that now. If I check the updates, see when they actually were added. There you go. This was just over a week ago, actually. Yeah. Okay. So yeah. Anyway, it's been just over a week. I guess I'm not too late, and I can sufficiently say that I think I know when you're meant to buy these things, when it would be good to buy these things, and how much each upgrade is worth having. So this is what we're talking about. First of all, something that you have to consider that not many people have considered, as far as I've seen, is that unlike KLs, there is no limit on when you can buy these. Obviously, with KLs, it says, if I go on info KLs, I believe it says, maybe it's just info KL. Okay, fair enough. Does it say on here? Here we go. Kakera looks give you random rewards, prerequisites, Sapphire 1, Ruby 1, and Emerald 1. And then these all have prerequisites as well of Sapphire, Ruby, and Emerald 2 and 3. So it's pretty much written into Kakera loops that you have to buy them after getting badges. Theoretically, you could start early, but considering that you want upgrades before you actually start getting them, you're going to want to have these three maxed out, really. And since you're going to be maxing out Sapphire 4 and Ruby 4 before you even get Emerald 3, or at least you should be, then the only badge that you might not have is your Emerald 4. But like realistically, Emerald 4 is better than upgrades anyway, so yeah, you're going to have max badges before you get these. This is not necessarily true with Kakera towers. At base cost, the first upgrade only costs 5,000 Kakera, which is not that much, actually, if you compare that to badges. Some of the later badges are costing upwards of 20,000 Kakera. So 5,000, not too bad. And some of them are pretty much the same as badges as well. Consider this, upgrade 11 plus 1 roll per hour. That's literally just a Sapphire badge. Now, admittedly, the best thing about Sapphire is obviously Sapphire 4 bonus, where you get your yellow Kakeras, and you're not going to be getting that from this. It's also a one-time buy, at least until you've maxed out your tower and you can go onto your second one. So it's not insane, but this is basically a Sapphire badge, and it only costs 5,000 Kakera. That's actually pretty good, right? 7 and 8 actually are even better than this, and I'll get into why in a minute. So this means that actually it's arguably correct. Forget KLs to buy Kakera towers before you've maxed all your badges. This is actually totally something I would do. So if I slot them into the badge tier list, if you remember back to the badge video, if you've not seen it, go watch it. A couple of weeks ago on that, but great stuff. I'd say once you've got your Sapphire 4, perhaps even before you start buying Ruby, you want to go ahead and buy 7 and 8, right? Even before you buy your Ruby badge, right? And then after you've bought your Ruby badge, you could go ahead and buy 11. You could buy maybe 10, because they are also incredibly good floors. And that's only going to cost you 15 and 20,000, which is still less than a lot of the Emerald badges. And then after you've got 7, 8, 10, and 11, then I say you go ahead and you buy your Emerald 4. Emerald 2, 3, and 4. I would say that's probably a smart thing to do. Because after you get past that, the perks that you're getting are not nearly as good, and it's costing you upwards of 25,000 Kakera. So, yeah. At that point, you want to finish off your badges. But consider then, we haven't even got started on KLs yet. Right? So this is the other thing, right? When do you get KLs then? if you're getting this before you've even maxed your badges, what about your KLs? And it's very true. You have to think about your KLs, right? So KLs is kind of a hard one. If I do KLs, we've got 3 things to consider. The actual KL use and the upgrades. I've always said you want to mainly be getting the upgrades, and this is true. You want to do some uses. Maybe if you get up to 30 or 40 levels of these, then you can do like a couple of 100 KLs, right? But getting up to 30 or 40 of these is going to cost a couple of 100,000 Kakera. And even at the point that I'm on this server, where I've got a full maxed tower and started on the next one, this is less than 100,000. Sorry, this is less than 100,000, right? So actually, getting KLs is still more expensive. However, it probably will help you more, because if you get, let's say, level 40 of quality and quantity, and then you do, say, 200 KLs, you're probably going to get a couple of perm rolls, a couple of wishlist slots, and that's going to be better than the stuff I would be getting here. So at this point, I would suggest to do some KLs. But even when you've got a full tower and a half here, I wouldn't say to go all the way up to level 100. Obviously, I'm at level 100 here because I got all of this stuff before the towers were added. But actually, KLs suddenly are really not as good. And this is partly a good thing, actually, I think. Because it really forces you to split up your KLs instead of going straight from level 0 up to 100. You split them up by doing some tower, doing some KLs, and kind of alternating between the two, right? So I would say, okay, maybe get to level 40 and then do a couple of 100, and then, you know, get up like a max tower, and then maybe get up to level 60 and do another couple of 100, and then do some more tower stuff, and, you know, kind of alternate. It's down to you exactly how much you do on each section of this, obviously. And the same as KLs before, that's not like a measurable thing, really. You just have to estimate, do I think that the tower benefit is going to be better, or do I think maybe a couple of extra perm rolls would be better? That's down to you, you know? This is not to say that Kakera loots are suddenly bad, because they are totally not bad. Perm rolls and wishlist slots are still fantastic. And the RT cooldown you can't even get in the tower, so this is something you definitely want to be getting from Kakera loots. The same as US's, which is really helpful. You can't get them from the tower either, so Kakera loots are still good. The difference is you're going to be getting them a little bit later, because you want to concentrate on your tower a little bit more. So, now that we know when we're getting general tower upgrades, what tower upgrades should you be getting? So I said 7 and 8 are the best. Let me explain my thought process there. Obviously, here we see slightly different numbers because I've got a maxed tower already. If I flip over to, say, this server, do I have a maxed tower here as well? Not quite. Okay, fantastic. So we can have a look at this one. This is going to be your initial upgrades that you get, right? So 7 increases your capital power to 110%, and 8 reduces your cost by 4%. This does not seem like a huge amount, really. 10% out of 100% is not a huge amount, and then 4% out of, by this point, it would be, unless you've got Ruby already, it would be 60%. So, it's not too good. However, they really do make a bigger difference. If you do have Ruby, you'd be and you've got both of these, then this is now going to be 36% per Kakera reaction, right? And this is 100%. Now, if you do the maths there, 36 times 3 is 108, which is less than 110. That means with max Kakera power, you can now do 3 reacts, whereas before you could only do 2.5. This is good for 2 reasons. First of all, obviously, more reacts. This means that every time you max out your Kakera power, that's like an extra 250 Kakera, which is pretty good. That's going to be happening quite frequently. If you compare that to some of the other, say, badges, getting an extra 250 Kakera per maxed out Kakera power, that's pretty good. I mean, that's more than DK gets you without pins. And that only happens per day. Obviously, gold 4 means that you get the extra reaction power too, so bad comparison, but you get the point. It's a reasonable amount of Kakera. But the other thing you have to consider is if you're trying to be optimal with your Kakera usage, what's going to happen? Right. I look at my TU, before I would say, let's say I have 100%. I come on in the morning, ready to do my rolls. I've got 100% power, and my cost is 40%. What I do is I do 2 reacts, gets me down to 20%. I then have to wait an hour, then do another react, use my DK, and then do another react. There's an hour gap between there in order to be efficient, because that means I use my DK when I'm at 0% power, or close enough. And that's how you be efficient with it, right? This is something we've known about. I'm sure most people that have DK and max badges are going to be doing that. That's just common sense. However, once you've got these two, this changes. You get on at the start of the day, you have 110% power. You do 3 reacts instantly, getting you down to 2%. It's now super optimal to use your DK. So if you can roll 4 Kakeras in one roll speed set, which late game you probably will be able to do, you can just do 3 Kakera reacts, use your DK, and then do another one. There is no hour-long wait. You've suddenly got an hour off of your DK timer. And it's way easier to be optimal with it. Plus, of course, you get an extra react for free. In fact, in this scenario, you would get an extra 2, because you get 1 from the initial 110 and 1 from the DK. So that's an extra 2 reacts, and you've cut an hour off your time. That's big, right? That's big. Another thing you have to consider, speaking of DK, is that the difference that DK makes is much bigger. Instead of DK giving you an extra 2.5 reacts, it is also giving you an extra 3. So you get an entire extra react from your DK, because it doesn't refill 100%, it refills to full. So even if you use it at 0% power, it will get up to this 110, and if you've got more, it'll get you up to that. Let's suppose you've been putting millions of Kakeras into this, and you've got like 200% Kakera power. It's going to give you all 200%. That's a lot. And then this is going to be reduced as well. So your DK is now way better as well. This is why 7 and 8 are really good floors. They really make a big difference. It's a lot of extra Kakera, and I do suggest getting them before you've even maxed out badges. Obviously, if you already maxed out badges by the time towers came out, then there wasn't really a choice that you had. The same as me on most of my servers. But there is one server here where I have not maxed out my badges yet. If I check this server, we're still going on here. This bot was added to this server about 2 months ago now, and I'm working towards my Sapphire 4. I'd say I'm on track to max out badges by the 3rd month, as per usual, because I've done most of the hard work already, getting gold 4. Sapphire 4 is on the way, and then once I've got Sapphire 4, the rest of the badges will come in really quickly. So I stick with my 3-month target for now. We'll see what happens. But the point is, I will get Kakera towers on here before I've maxed out my badges. So, yeah. 7 and 8 are going to be the floors that I get because they are the best floors. However, they are not the only good floors. For example, floor 10 is a bit underrated. Think about it. You should be getting light Kakera reasonably frequently. I haven't measured exactly how often you're going to be getting it, but you're going to be getting multiple light Kakeras per day per server. I'm pretty sure. I think they're about as common as green Kakeras. I said this in the last video when we talked about the update. Light Kakeras are about as common as green. And so you're going to be getting them reasonably frequently. That's not that rare. And if you take a light Kakera, it costs however much reaction power is, say 36%, whatever, right? Every time. It doesn't matter how many Kakeras it gives you, it costs you 30%. So if you make your light Kakera give you 1 extra random Kakera, that's just free. You're getting a free Kakera every time you claim a light Kakera. And like I said, they're not that rare. Right? So this is every, I don't know, let's say you get a light Kakera every 6 hours. Every 6 hours it's going to give you, on average it'll be a blue Kakera, admittedly, but that's still over 100 Kakera. So this is like a free 100 Kakera every 6 hours or so. It's not as insane as these two for sure, but that's certainly worth having. Just one upgrade by itself, a few hundred Kakera per day. That's not bad, you know? And of course, the more light Kakera you get, the more effect it's going to have. When you've got more towers, like on here, where I've got my second tower and I've got it on here, I get loads of Kakera. One tower that I have got a lot of upgrades on is here, because I had been feeding Dust a ton of Kakera, and I just had its hair lying around, so I maxed out a bunch of towers instantly. Right, this is as soon as the update came out. I just shoved all these towers down. So he has 1, 2, 3, 4 extra Kakera. They already give 3 to 4. So Dust now gets 7 to 8 Kakera every light Kakera. 7 to 8 Kakera is... it's going to be like an average of about 1,000 Kakera. So your light Kakeras go from being worth an average of 400 Kakera up to an average of about 1,000 Kakera. That's huge, right? You're going to be getting one, say, like I said, every 6 hours. So that's 600 Kakera every 6 hours for free. So level 10 is also pretty good and a little underrated, I think. But obviously it depends on how many light Kakeras you're taking. So it you know, just see what happens. And it's not as good as these, because obviously it needs a lot of upgrades before it starts getting that good. As you can see, there's a lot of upgrades. And then the final good one, I think, is 11, like I said. 1 roll per hour. It's fairly simple, no need to explain this. It's an extra roll, you know, it's like a Sapphire badge. What can I say? Since it's probably the 4th one that you get, it's likely to cost you 20,000 on your first floor, obviously. On your first tower, it'll cost you 20,000 default. So that's like buying a Sapphire 4 badge, but without the Sapphire 4. Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. It's not great though, but it's worth having. So yeah, there you go. Now, there's a lot of other upgrades that are kind of just meh. There's this one, which is unlikely to affect you unless you're a super late game. You think it might be 500 Kakera per 3 hours, but realistically, you're not hitting this limit. I don't even hit this limit on here, where I get like insane numbers of keys. Right, let me see my last set of rolls. I got a level 6 key, but I didn't actually get any Kakera from that. Level 4, no Kakera from that. A level 7, 65 Kakera, all stonks. No Kakera from that one. Ooh, 350 for that one. 96 from that one. 420. Ooh, almost 1,000 there. And this is 2 hours already. We've got like maybe 1,500 Kakera in total in 2 hours. I'm not hitting the 4,500 limit. So this upgrade, not really helping me too much. But what it will be useful for is if you're using USs a bunch, like with my 20,000 thing that still hasn't gone up because I got bored and it's going to take a long time to make, so whoops. But on there, it's a bit of free Kakera if you're using a lot of USs, so you know it's just kind of meh. It doesn't really help with much. This one, again, the same as the 1 per roll per hour. It's 2 wishlist slots. It's nice. It's like 2 bronze badges. You know, that's nice. I don't think it's worth the 25,000 that you would be spending on it at this point, but it's certainly nice to have. So you know, why not? You can get that one. This one's quite nice to have. I think it doesn't make as much difference as people think. It's the same as the silver badge, but it only affects 1 of your wishes, so that's a bit rubbish. If I've got like 50 wishes and it's only affecting 1 of them, then it's like way worse than a silver badge. So yeah, this one isn't too great. But again, it's just something nice to have, because once you've got 7, 8, 10, and 11, there's not much else cool stuff to get, so you might as well get this, you might as well get this, you know, whatever. And then there's these 3. These 3 are kind of interesting. Oh yeah, and there's this as well, but this is just cosmetic, so depending on whether you like the cosmetics or not, you could buy it early, you could buy it late, doesn't matter. That's up to you. These 3 are interesting. So I've had a lot of people asking if these are worth buying, and frankly, no, I do not think they're worth buying at all. Obviously, you need to get them to level up to the next tower, so eventually you will be getting them. But I do not think they are worth it, no, because they really don't help out that much. What you're getting is extra keys. Extra keys is cool and great. We love extra keys, but it's not just free extra keys, right? It's not just free extra keys. First of all, in order to get different types of keys, you would need all 3. This is going to cost you a lot of Kakera at this point. Right, this is going to be like plus 100,000 as long as you've bought this other stuff first. Right, So there is that. Secondly, it only works on characters that you have wished for. So if you're already wishing stuff for keys, then, you know, fair enough. It doesn't make too much difference to you. But two things you have to consider. First of all, if you're not currently wishing stuff for keys, then you are going to have to change up your wish list, which you may not want to do. And secondly, whether you're wishing stuff for keys or not, your wish list has a limit, you know? You can't wish for everything in your harem, right? You can only wish for a certain number of things, right? So like on here, I can wish for 19 things. I really should put more stuff on this wish list, huh? So yeah, it's not so helpful now, right? You're only wishing for a few things. And then the worst bit of all is even when you get it, you roll something on your wish list that has the right type of key for you to trigger the upgrade that you've got. It only has a low % chance of it happening. This one, 30%, 20%, 10%. Right? As a science experiment, I set up this server. I have, okay, 43 rather than 45, but still, I have 43 wishlist slots. Every single one of these is a claimed character, as you can see. All of them are claimed. They're all claimed by me. They should all be getting me keys. As for my Kakera tower, you can see what I've got. I have a max tower. I haven't bought these on the second one yet. The percentage is lower. But I have a max tower, so I have all 3 of these upgrades. Right? And then I have 43 wish lists that are all claimed. I also get 34 rolls per hour. You would think I'm been getting loads of double keys from all of this, right? I'll tell you, in the week since Kakera Towers have been released, and mind, the week since I upgraded this tower, because I did get it straight away, I have not got a single double key on anyone. Even if I've been rolling stuff on my wish list, it's not been a double key. So now you may be reconsidering the fact that you're getting lots of free keys. Do you have that many wishlist slots? Are you prepared to put claimed characters on all of them? Do you have this many rolls? Do you have all 3 of these upgrades? Because the chances are you don't, because I abuse Requiem on this server. If you do, then fair enough. But the thing is, you are going to need better than that in order to actually start getting double keys. Better than that. You might have better than that. Oh, you know, I'm not being like, oh, I have the best stuff. Not by a long shot. The stuff that I have on this server is rubbish compared to the stuff that I see on the official Medate server. But I think for the average player, this is going to be better than what you have. And it doesn't get me a single double key. Now, I'm sure there will be people out there that have way worse than this and have got double keys, and good job, you were lucky. But the thing is, it's clearly not a consistent thing, because I've not got a single one. It's been a full week, right, with a maxed tower and a maxed wish list for claimed characters. Not a single double key. This is what I want to emphasize. Do not buy these expecting to get loads of free keys, because you won't. I say buy these last, actually. The only one that you maybe would buy after these is this one, because if you don't have enough gold keys for even getting near the limit, then this literally does nothing for you. So maybe buy this one last. But these 3, yeah, no, they're seriously not worth it. Obviously, you need to buy them eventually to get onto the next tower. But yeah, I do want to emphasize that. Do not think too much of those upgrades. They are not very good. This tower is a little imbalanced, I think, because you've got things like this that basically do nothing. This, which is this, which is likely to do nothing, and then these, which are insanely good. And because you decide which floor you buy first, you can get the really good ones for a super cheap price, and then leave off the bad ones that are going to be really expensive, right? So, I mean, that's kind of nice that you're able to do that. You get these cheap upgrades, very nice, very cool. But yeah, you do have to think about it. And you are going to be wanting to get this before you've got like mad KLs and stuff, so it is actually going to be pretty expensive for you. So yeah, that's my thoughts on it. That is when I think you should buy the upgrades and when I think you should buy each separate upgrade. Took a while to go through all of that, so I'm going to cut it there. And hopefully this does not take too long to go out because it's been a week already. Alright then, bye!